Hi, this is Zach here with the US Chartbreakers here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 22nd of April. Starting off with the S&P, and here you can see we've got the breakdown we feared, failing to fill the gap there, failing at old support there from March around 55.10, and then also failing at that December support line projection, 54.25, and as well as that, having the latest session all below the old August support zone at 52.20. Below 52.20, we've got the risk of a retest of May resistance towards 5,000, maybe even 49.50. End of day close above 52.20, the minimum requirement for a turnaround at this stage. Moving on to the Nasdaq, and here also quite painful in the sense that it's a second unfilled gap to the downside. We've got the old August support there from last year, 17,400, which is the initial target, but obviously can't rule out a retest of the worst levels of the month so far towards 16,500. Minimum on the upside now, an end of day close really above 18,400, otherwise it looks pretty messy. Moving on to the stocks, and obviously these are the best of the rises, or we hope they are. First one is Baiya International, and here we've got a mission impossible on the charting front, which will obviously be loved to accept a challenge on, which is to consider that Baiya is in a broadening triangle, and the shares could actually head up to $8.90. The initial target here, the top of the gap there at $5, and that was what we said the last time we looked at the shares before the push higher that we had yesterday. So we are kind of on our way, but we'd like to see an end of day close back above the initial support there around the $3.80 mark, which we are just shy of, although pre-market above that particular level. The amusingly named Dogwood is next, and here we were looking for the shares to rise, and they did yesterday, but just shy of the resistance line there towards $7.93. Want to see an end of day close above that, which obviously at the moment looks a bit difficult. The other thing we want to see is no end of day close back below the gap that we had for Monday's session. So Friday's high at the $5.09 level. Want to see the shares remain above that on an end of day close basis. Otherwise, it looks like we're down and heading for support $2.50. On to a stock where the code, ticker code, and the name are rather different, and it is Exicure. Here we've got a situation where the shares are, I suppose, in a range, and we're looking for that range to break out, the triangle to be broken. Floor of the triangle there around $8.60, but the top of the triangle $11.90. We're looking for that, an end of day close above that to give us a move back towards $15 plus, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. Looks as though there has been a bear trap rebound after the rather dead session that we had on Thursday. Moving on to Portage, and here situation is a bit of a zigzag either side of the 50-day line, but that is now rising at $10.78, and above that we're looking for $16 again at the top of that broadening triangle from the end of November. But the key here obviously holding recent support towards $8. Another situation which is on the front foot at the moment, very much so, is Inno Holdings, and here you can see that the shares are within a broad rising trend channel. Top of the channel they're heading towards $12.20. We're looking for that by the end of next month, especially while we remain above the the opening support area of Friday at $7, above 7, and the top of that gap looking for $12 plus by the end of next month. Moving on to MicroAlgo, which apart from the cute name and I suppose the very volatile price action has been a stock in focus here for quite some time. The disappointment, I suppose, is the way that the shares have tanked after peaking through $30 at the turn of the month. Current situation is that we've got a bear trap rebound from below the rising 50-day line, so it does look as though it's a floor in place. And while there's no end of day close back below that uptrend line from last month, we are looking for the shares to head higher, maybe headed into the upper teens towards the 20 area, which was resistance on the way down. Early and end of day close back below that 50-day line, $8.19, really suggesting that the game is up for the bulls. Moving on to Ohmyhome, which has done what we wanted it to do. We were looking for a turnaround and filled the gap there up to $3.25. Above that, on an end-of-day close basis, looking for a fresh leg to the upside, perhaps even as high as $6 by the end of next month. But the key here, whatever happens, is holding that 50-day line, which is now starting to rise. Moving along to Portage, and here, well, the situation where support looks to be in there. The support swing low last week around the $6.75 level. Above that, we're looking for the top of the range and the top of that trend channel as high as $13 by the end of next month. A stock which we have started to cover, which looks interesting, is Solid Biosciences. Here it looks as though we've got a bear trap rebound from below the February support there around $2.85. Above that, looking for a minimum around $3.40, and best case by the end of next month $4.34, filling that gap up to the March gap there and the 50-day line up to that area. Ideally now there's no end of day close back below that 285 level. The name Splash Beverage has caught the eye, and it's also caught the chart as well. We've been looking for a U-shaped turnaround here, and we certainly got it. Very impressive, and looking for the top of that falling trend channel at $9. Very pleased with that call because it just looked like a U-shaped turnaround, and that was really on the basis of the first gap off the low, which obviously wasn't very much to go on, but very strong indeed, and strong while we're above the 50-day line at $5.30. On to the last two. The first one is SHF, and here almost identical to the Splash Beverage turnaround, but here the gap off the low much higher, but still we're looking for the top of that falling trend channel there, $5.80, and looking for that while we remain above the resistance on the way down, which was around the $3.10 level, so pre-market $3.30 on that one. Finishing off with Upexi, and here bolt from the blue type of spike for the share, so obviously not for widows and orphans. Guessing that we might have a pullback towards the low $7 area, which was that spike there, say $7.20. Otherwise, probably leave alone given how volatile this is. But you can see we blew the lights out on that resistance line there from March last year at $18. But $8 the pre-open, so maybe there's a chance of buying at old resistance becoming new support just near to that $7 area. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.